Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension. We're just waiting a moment here while some of you join us, making sure that we're live.
It,
Awesome.
we are
Yep.
live on New Realities as well, so welcome everyone to this premiere broadcast of the Portal to Ascension show. I'm really excited about this, so yes. All right, I'm Alan Steinfeld with Neil Gaur, and we have some beautiful, amazing guests here. And the theme is Humanity Awakening, and I know all our guests are totally into that, Neil.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. I just got locked out for a second over here. I'm excited for today. I'm excited to be doing it with you, Alan, and welcome everybody to Portal to Ascension show. It's the first episode, and as Alan said, this is Humanity Awakens, and this has been a long time coming. We've been working on this pretty hardcore. There's a whole team of people behind this. Joan of Angels and Shreya, who are both tuning in right now. Just want to give them a shout out because it really helped put this together. And I want to say hi to everybody because Alan, this is something we're going to do together, and we're going to be doing it monthly. So this one's a general event, but we're going to be going more specific as each event comes along. But I'm excited to be doing this for the first time.
Right, and especially if you've been tuning into some of the Portal to Ascension shows, some of the stuff I've been hosting on my channel with Neil, that's been more like kind of individual presentations, but this is more a collective field we want to build, as Kristin says, the quantum field of human consciousness. So that's why I think this show is different and special in its own way. So Neil, so happy you put this
Yes.
together.
Yeah, me too. And I'm excited that I'm doing it with you because we create so many other events, which we'll show you guys in a bit, some of the events that we have coming up. But as you probably already know, that Alan and I work together quite often. And so I thought it was just perfect for us to really do this together in
Mm.
regards to this being Humanity Awakens. But next month, we have um, we have Reclaim Your Power to Ascend Your Timeline with all the hosts from our platform, excluding Alan and myself. And then the month after that, Ancient Civilizations. So it's giving us an opportunity to not only go really deep into specific topics, but also to showcase multiple speakers where you might come to a workshop on Portal to Ascension and there's only one speaker, but here you get to experience like four or five and also have some music. So it's more of like a show rather than, a presentation of which we put out quite often on channels.
Yeah, and this is a time of our awakening, so why not have these incredible women, particularly these women, joining us today to talk
Mm-hmm.
about their awakening and how they're transmitting that vibration to the rest of the planet. So, should we start with
Yeah,
our first speaker?
let's go ahead and bring on our first speaker here. I'm gonna just pull out the bios.
Mm. But let me ask you one more question, Neil.
Yeah.
So, what's your vision? Like, where would you like to see this go? Like, how would you see this influencing the world? Like, why did you create these shows? That's what I want to ask first.
We do a lot of shows on Port Ascension, a lot of conferences, but I wanted something more personable and something that we can not only show multiple speakers, but also be able to interact and kind of something more exciting and fun, just the standard presentation. But the ultimate reason for doing this and doing this for free or donation. And we haven't sent out an email yet, so you can check out ptashow.com if you're interested in this series. But the reason we're doing this is because the moment is really now for us to not hold back and to get this awareness now. So not only
Right.
do we get to have multiple speakers on Portal to Ascension and even other speakers that we haven't even had a chance to put on Portal to Ascension yet, because we're like 11 months booked out of events. So sometimes I can't put an event together for a speaker for 1 to 2 years out. So this gives us an opportunity to have more people here and do what the intention is for Portal to Ascension, which is help awaken humanity up even more so, rather than just our pre-recorded presentations, right, Alan? Like something more
Right.
live and interactive than the standard event that we do.
Right. As you're talking, I'm thinking it's also about synergy. So everyone has a piece, and that piece, when we come together collectively, there's a synergy that accelerates the vibrational field. So I think that's also a reason that we're doing these shows. So
Yep.
great. It is
We're picking up
humanity's time.
momentum, like we even do, just to kind of plug this as well. We also do the Beyond UFO Disclosure almost twice a year now, which is just like, there's so much happening in between. We put these events out in order to really just update everybody as we keep expanding. But getting this awareness out to more and more people, I feel, is the most important thing right now.
Great. Okay. Who's our first speaker today?
All right. So the flow for today, Some of these bios are very long, everybody, so I'm going to read a little bit. We're going to get right into the presenter. And if they have time at the end, we'll ask some questions. So if you throw some questions in the chat, we can take a look then. And today's speakers, Ellen and I hand selected as we felt that these would be the perfect people to really start out with this general theme of humanity awakening. So our first guest is Ginette Biro. And a little bit about her. The world is going through a consciousness shift. People are looking for greater meaning and purpose in their lives. Ginette brings access to other dimensions to create a richer, deeper journey for people on Earth. Ginette Biro is a world-class spiritual medium, channels beings from the 4th to 12th dimensions. She connects people to other sides and brings messages to inspire and inform our world. She is a clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant. She can see, hear, feel, and know information and communication from spirit and other dimensions. Ginette has many spirit guides, angels, and ascended masters who have guided her to support the planet in its ascension. And just to add a little more, I just met Ginette, I think like 4 or 5 months ago. I just was on our podcast and we had a connection from that moment. So I had her on the list to potentially reach out to this. So I'm excited to be introducing Ginette for the first time. All the speakers today, except Kathleen, I think, are coming on Portal to Ascension for the first time. So welcome, Ginette. Glad to see you here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here sharing space and energy with you all and everyone watching. So I will just get straight down to what I really felt inspired to talk about today. And I love that this is like introductory into consciousness and awakening, so we can all kind of take pieces from it. And my share is part of my story about conscious choice and how I really got a visceral experience of understanding that. So as Neil kind of mentioned, I've been a medium and a channeler for about a decade and a half practicing outward for people. So I have already seen, heard, felt a lot about the process of death and dying, transitions from the soul's perspective in, thousands of readings that I have done. So I say this because I thought I had a pretty good understanding about how it all works. And I was beautifully surprised to be able to experience it myself. About 3 years ago now, in August 2019, I had a near-death experience. It was during a routine surgery, and I had the opportunity to go to the other side. And I knew exactly where I was on the other side because it was very different than any way that I've ever viewed higher realms, other dimensions, even beings from the other side. I've always been kind of on this side viewing it, whereas in my NDE, I was plunked on the other side, and you just know when you know that you're there. So I had beautiful experiences, but what I want to talk about specifically is my experience of my blueprint and why this matters. I had the opportunity, after visiting with family and friends that had passed, I was taken to this room of the blueprints, is what I called it. And in there, on this giant boardroom table, my guides, my council, rolled out my blueprint for me to see. And I remember when I was looking down on it, I kind of chuckled a little bit because I was like, hey, it looks like a blueprint, like an architecture's blueprint. But it was my life, and I could see that down the center of it, there was still this iridescent kind of pearlescent white line that was still alive. So I knew that I was essentially still alive, but I was viewing my blueprint. And we went through my blueprint up until the point of where I was in my life right there. I call it a juncture point. And it was at that point that they asked me if I wanted to stay or come back. And for me, it was pretty obvious. I was like, no, I want to come back. I want to be there with my family and all of this. And they said, okay, if you're going to come back, then you have the opportunity to change out different juncture points, as I call them, in what's remaining of your blueprint. And so I remember thinking, really? Like, I can do this? And I had a very real experience of how we design as a soul. We design our blueprint before we come into this lifetime. And so here I was on the other side, getting an opportunity at that point to rearrange some things because I was choosing to come back. And so once they explained that to me, I remember these different kind of fuses. They almost looked like fuses in a fuse box. And I pulled out the first one, and they said to me, they're like, you'll have conscious memory of the first one, but you won't of the others. And I know that I replaced several, But the first one I remember was one of chronic health issues, because I'd had chronic health issues leading up to the reason why I had the surgery and landed in an NDE. So I pulled out this fuse of chronic health issues and I said to my guides, are you sure I can do this? Like, for real? And they're like, yes. And I remember putting it down, taking a new one and plunking it in, and on it, like I was doing this like I was a kid who was allowed to eat candy before bed, right? Like it was one of those feelings. And so I plunked it in, and I remember kind of thinking like, yeah, we'll see if this works, because I'm that like canary in a coal mine kind of person who always gets whatever there is. So I put that fuse in, and then I changed several others. But like I said, my guide said, you won't have conscious memory of those others, but when they fall into place, you will know. And several things will fall into rapid succession to get you on your path when you go back. And so what I learned in kind of discussing that rearranging of my blueprint was how much we really do create these destiny points or these juncture points as a soul with our council, our spirit guides, whatever you want to call it. We create that. And then when we come to Earth and have this earthly experience, we have conscious choice that allows us the ability to choose how we're going to navigate any of those juncture points. Conscious choice. And it really is conscious choice in every moment that gives us the power to either align with our blueprint or veer far away from it. And so one of the questions that I get from people often is like, okay, cool. So you had your NDE, you rearranged your blueprint. How can I have an NDE, or how can I rearrange my blueprint then? And in talking with my guides, it was this beautiful answer that it's all based on frequency. Our blueprint has a soul frequency. And when we make choices in our lives that align with our blueprint, we feel that frequency or that energy or that feeling of alignment where we're like, yes, this is the next right step. This feels right. Anytime you veer away from your blueprint, you're going to feel that kind of disharmony. And that even counts for when we have really positive blueprint juncture points or challenging ones. It's what we do as a result of those juncture points, the conscious choices we make of the next right step. And sometimes that next right step is stopping to breathe in the moment. Sometimes the next right step is an action step, right? Like a boundary or opening your heart space or whatever it may be. But when we give ourselves enough time to see what resonates, what feels like the next right step, we are doing things to align with our blueprint. And we can actually release juncture points of hard lessons if we learn it earlier. We can pop out another junction point, essentially, because we've aligned with our frequency. And so it seems like, you know, sometimes we take spiritual ideas or themes and we overcomplicate them. And yes, some of them can be really challenging to our human minds to understand higher dimensional understandings of things. But I loved how this one was brought in very simple terms of notice what you notice in terms of frequency and make the next right steps as you journey going forward. And the more you do that, the more the universe can bring in those alignments that flow with your blueprint. And so that's something I really like the opportunity to share with people, because it was such a visceral experience for me that expanded my awareness and understanding of the simplicity of what it can be. And so I really like to share that. And so that's why I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share that with you guys and, you know, lay out something that you can ponder to see how that can have an effect in your life and what conscious choices you're making, and how really you are a co-creator with the universe in everything you do. You make one step, the universe makes another step. You step, they step. And the more conscious we are of the step we're making, the more the universe can align what it is we wish to bring forward.
But how can we change our little fuse boxes to undo those patterns that no longer serve us, each of us?
So really it's about noticing which patterns are coming up that you seem to cycle over, right? So what are those patterns? Finding that pattern, trying to find the root of it. And then when you find the root of it, making the conscious choices of how you want to do it differently. Because a pattern will keep repeating when we're not conscious about the root of it. Trying to find the root.
Well, I just had one personal question. You know, there's a storekeeper around the corner from me, and he's always kind of like rude and making snide remarks, and it kind of pushes my reaction to react. But then I say, oh, maybe that's just my ego, self-importance. So, you know, there must be something in the ego structure that needs to be looked at, so that impulse to react isn't there. But then, you know, maybe on another level, once I complete that kind of interaction won't even take place. You know what I mean?
It could very well be, right? I think it's
Right.
kind of all of that. I think as a human design, we're brought in with a concept of an ego to alert us to things, but it's what we choose to do as a result of that. And I think the more we practice consciously choosing or taking a moment, the more those reactions can become second nature.
Right. Right. All right. Thanks. Is there a practical though, like meditation or something that you recommend, just finding the source of that? I mean, how would we get back to that?
So, I mean, there's many ways that we can gain access to our blueprint. First of all, if you're a very avid meditator or astral traveler, you can go to your blueprint. You can ask your guides to show you. So some may very well be able to do that. You can also go to it through spiritual hypnosis, as well as Akashic records. There's many ways you can do that, but if you can't do that, you can also journal, set intents, however you visualize, vision board of what you do want, right? And
Right.
then when you notice the things that you don't want that come out, like I said, get curious about them, find out the why, find out the root, and then choose what you want to do differently. And I think if we keep it simple that way, that's a way we can all take the steps towards it.
Great. Thanks. Anyone
Thank you.
else have a?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Ginette, how does this relate to karma? Are you talking about a conscious choice once we incarnate, or are you talking about a choice before we incarnate of what kind of experience we're gonna have?
Oh, beautiful question. So we have layers of choices. So we have a layer of a choice as a soul when we're still in spirit, when not embodied in the human consciousness. We are choosing with our guides what is our best lessons we want to learn. Maybe some of them are juncture points where we're making up karmas, right? We're making up for something or learning the balance of something else we experienced in one lifetime. So there's a level of conscious choice that happens on the soul level. But then there's another level that happens of conscious human choice when we come into the human experience. And so it's that understanding that there's the different levels of us deciding what we want, as well as us maneuvering how we choose to maneuver.
Mm.
Kristin, I think you sort of did some of that. I mean, you're going to tell your story a little bit, but I think she's sort of describing a process you went through. Do you want to comment on that?
I agree. I agree with everything Ginette said about sort of like the multidimensionality of us as humans and sort of like aligning with the blueprint, aligning with the soul's frequency. It makes perfect sense to me.
Wow,
So thank you. Thank you for sharing that too.
beautiful.
Do you mean like, is it kind of in a way that on the soul level that we have certain contracts that we or agreements that we agree upon before we incarnate here, and then we basically the choices that we make to get there are up to us, but these are the different things that we're going to experience?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's like desired experiences to gain wisdom. Like that's the reason we create the blueprint or the things that happen is we want to gain wisdom. And 3D world, as we all know, is a great dense place to gain wisdom through experience, both the good and the bad and everything in between. So yeah, it's learning opportunities that are really condensed.
Alan, you're muted.
Okay, yeah. So we are at the cycle now where the karmic or the lessons are sort of resolving themselves, and we're moving, like, and this is why we're doing the show, to this next frequency. So what does that look like when we go to, let's see, the fifth dimension? Is there different lessons? How does it look to you as we awaken collectively? You know, like the future.
Great question. I believe that as we move up in consciousness, there's never a point where we stop learning. So we're going to continually be learning, but at higher levels, right? So the complexity, but the ability to maneuver the learning, say somebody in grade 12 is going to be vastly different than someone in grade 5, right? So every time we move up a dimensional level of consciousness, we're going to gain more understandings within that level there. So I think with that, though, can come much more harmony in our experiences. They may not have to be as jarring as they are in 3D world right now. Then they would be in 5D and then 7D and so on.
But one more question. So we've just been dealing with the karmic field of human beings and interactions. How does that change when we start to deal with ETs and that level of interactions with a consciousness that's very different from ours? Is there still these karmic lessons, or does something else take place from what you can think about?
Well, I mean, I think the light beings, ETs, for the most part, are here helping us trying to ascend in consciousness, giving us ideas in the ethereal realm for us to pick up on and intuit and all of this stuff. And I really see that, you know, once humanity steps up into, say, full 5D or beyond, humanity will then play their role in helping somewhere else ascend and grow. So I think it's a greater cosmic cycle of playing a role in helping the universe essentially ascend in consciousness.
Right. The interaction with that frequency and those qualities of consciousness help us ascend in frequency.
I remember I went to channeling once where I forget who it was, but it was said that our destiny is to be ambassadors to the stars and teach how we transcended this duality and this forgetfulness and remember, you know. So it's kind of in alignment with what you're saying.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I like to think of each dimension as like definitely the spiritual and the physical, right? But then like it's almost like a dimension of awareness. When we tap into each dimension, we tap into a whole new data set of consciousness that like spans the universe, and we're able to process that. And I feel our bodies are designed specifically in order for us to tap into the highest of dimensions that still exist within this body. You know?
But the body also starts to accelerate because we tap into that. So
it transcends and shifts.
That's the process of ascension. That's the portal to ascension right there, Neil.
Right,
Yeah.
straight up.
True.
Beautiful. Ginette, thank you so much. And you also do many other things. You have a website, you have some services. You also have a podcast that I was on a few months ago. So I'd love for you to share anything coming up for you, whatever you like to share right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can all find me on avalonspirit.com as well as Ginette Biro Medium, either on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I do have a podcast called the Ginette Biro Podcast. So that's a weekly thing of all kinds of info that comes through, interviews, channelings. And I do have a Lightworker Mentorship Circle that is starting in September for those of you that are interested in learning to build your communication level with spirit and your spirit guides. I basically say I've done the journey many times of connecting in, and so I can help you figure some stuff out, and then you take what fits and run with it. So all of that is available on avalonspirit.com, as well as my book about my journey in NDE and all of that. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Beautiful. Nice
Thank
to meet you.
Ginette.
And I'm glad you gave that presentation as a kind of beginning to this audience, this new kind of portal to Ascension audience, because that's exactly why we want this show to happen, to bring people into awareness of what's possible. So thanks, Ginette.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Ginette. I'll be in touch soon.
Okay. Our next guest, but hang out, Ginette. We'll comment on the other speakers too. So thanks.
Yeah. If you have something to add, please stay around.
Yeah. And our next speaker is who, Neil?
All right, next one we have Kathleen Hailley, but we're going to take a pause really quick and we're going to show some upcoming events on Portal to Ascension.
Oh, great. Good.
I'm excited about this. And we're going live on 3 different YouTubes today. Usually we go live on Alan's, Only in Mine. So we're also live on Joan of Angels channel, who's in the chat room right now. So I want to say hi to everyone on Joan of Angels. And again, if you're just joining in, we're going to be going live with this every single month. And we actually have the next 11 months planned out, but we have the next 4 months on the website. And I'm going to share the website with you so you can sign up for this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So it's not on portalascension.org. We have a new website just for the show that might integrate to our website pretty soon. But this is ptashow.com. So and you can see 2 of us here. And here's a list of some of the upcoming shows. You can read about them. But this is where we're going to basically be funneling everybody. Next month, Alan and I are both going to be in Europe. So we're not going to be hosting it. We're going to just have Joan, Shariah, Mariana, and Washayla. They're going to be on together. And they have a musical guest too, so that's gonna be really fun. But maybe we can see it. It'll be like 3 a.m. for us. So if we're still up. And then after that, we have October. We have the Ancient Civilization Show. That one's going to be really amazing. These are individuals that we worked with at different ancient events. We just did 2-day Ancient Indian Origin Conference, which was 100,000 years of Indian history. It was probably the best conference we've done in like the 20 years, 14 years. And this individual here was from it. He did the whole true dating based on archaeological and scientific studies of Mahabharata and Ramayana. So we're going to have a little discussion with him, going deep onto that. We have Dr. Sam, who's going to give us the updates on the excavation of the Bosnian pyramid. We have Sari Michael White, who's going to be talking about the Sumerians in ancient Mesopotamia. So that's going to be really fun. And here is an event that Alan and I are doing together. You want to talk about this a bit, Alan? The Hybrids Conference?
Well, I see the Crystal Skull thing up. Oh, no, the Hybrid Conference right there. Well, this is our 3rd year talking to people who've really come from other star systems with full memory or partial memory of why they're here and the mission to uplift humanity. Marina Sarin is one of my favorite people. She's 21 years old and incredible download. Geraldine Orozco, Tyler Ellison, and Sheila Seppi. Sheila has an amazing understanding about the cosmology of the soul. Mary Edwards and Mary Rodwell are both experts in talking to children about their conscious awakening. Viviane Chevette is a fully awakened Arcturian ambassador. Very impressive.
Yeah, we just got to hang out with Viviane and Sheila for the last 4 days up until like yesterday afternoon. So there's some amazing things are going to be announced here, new announcements for which lands.
And of course, my old friend Phil Gruber, and I don't know how I can begin to describe Phil, but a vast amount of information he contains. And Melanie Ware, I don't know Melanie Ware. What do you know of her?
Melanie Ware, she was on the Starseed Summit last year, and I don't know, she's just amazing download. She has a podcast. She was on the Hybrids Conference last year as well. So she has memories of her lives on other planets. So she's going to be an amazing individual to check.
But just going back to the Hybrid Conference, it is August. What is it? August.
It's August 27th to 28th.
And if people want to sign up right now and they're watching, they can just click
online events. It's like the second event on online events. Or if you go to the homepage, you'll find it on the homepage. But
Great.
Go to online events, take a look. And we do have to get into our next speaker in about a minute, so I'm just going to talk about 2 other events.
Well,
we'll talk about this on the next break.
Okay, we'll talk about this on the next break.
Right.
Okay, great.
But we'll talk about this too. We just launched the Ascension Conference site, everybody, for our coming back to live events after 2.5 years of being online. So Ascension Conference in San Diego, California. So we're going to go over the roster and everything. But we literally just launched it yesterday. So this is like the announcement for this conference. I'm excited to talk a little bit more about it, but we'll get into that later. Okay, let's bring on our next guest.
I just want to say that live Portal to Ascension conference is really, Zoom is pretty good, but when you're actually in the presence of people, there's a whole other multiple dimensional connection you have.
Yeah. It's, just like Alan, myself, and like 2 or 3 others were together for the last 5 days, and we accomplished in 2 days more than we do in 2 months sometimes, So just being together and being able to brainstorm was pretty amazing. But what I'd like to say about the conference is that if you want to get a lot of hugs, this is the place to be, because it's going to be a hug fest,
Great.
So we'll talk about it later. Okay, so our next guest is Cathleena Hailley, another individual that we've had, I think was on we did an interview on Portal Ascensions on a podcast, but hasn't spoke yet, but was definitely someone I thought would be perfect. And I put it down, her name, after we had our last conversation together, just to really show you guys her and her information. And then hopefully within the next year, as we're doing our events, we can have her show up again in some events. But this is also a debut. As I said, everybody today is a debut on Portal to Ascension. So Cathleena Hailley is an embodiment of the Divine Feminine who works with the Council of Nine Collective, and in particular with Jesus, Metatron, and other Ascended Masters. Her coding accesses the womb water of an individual's birth, so they are brought back to the original soul expression, creating a rebirth to allow full expression of the soul's imprint. As the lineage of the life of the architect, her crystalline DNA signature not only carries the frequency of perfect pitch to align to the original human template, Earth template, and its universal template, but continually recalibrates this alignment. So let's go ahead and bring Cathleena on. There you are.
Yes, hi.
Hey, Cathleena, nice to see you.
Hey, and nice to see you. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. And what are you going to be sharing with us today? Did you need to share screen, or are you just going to go direct to the camera?
Just direct to the camera. I'm just speaking. So,
Right.
since this is about Humanity Awakens, I wanted to speak about the actual creative process that we go through as a human, and how I understand it. Of the word understand and understand, this is internal. So, what wanted to come through is the awareness that, we are consciousness. Consciousness is information. Think about source or God consciousness as this giant library of information. And so we are a smaller library of the giant library. And how we engage in the physicality is that we basically download our library of information, which is basically our software. We download that into the brain, which is the hardware, and then it communicates with the body. And think about the body as like a giant mall of people. And so I'm either going to be in synergistic communication or not, or maybe I'm going to ignore some, or what am I doing? So what's the communication going on with the body? And why this is important is because, we are creator beings. And so the literal creative process is that every single thought comes out of your head as a geometric shape. And this thought is the mental masculine, or the blueprint, or the canvas of your creation. And then you add an emotion to that. The emotion is a frequency. Of course, all we're doing in human existence is matching frequencies in order to be comfortable. So you add an emotion to the thought. The emotion is a frequency. That emotion and frequency is the spiritual feminine, or the creator creation, or the paint and the painter. So once you have your thought and you add the emotion to it, you hold it 14 seconds or longer, it moves into the unified field, finds a match for that particular frequency, and comes out into reality. And so why is this important for us to know as Ascension? Because, well, first of all, the body is everything. This is the millionaire, this is the relationship, this is everything. And, we are not ascending, the body is ascending. So we are fifth dimensional higher beings, and we are engaging our consciousness, which source consciousness is basically the highest frequency that there is. So as I show up as me, all that is not me has to leave. And so, why I feel like this download came forward, and part of my awareness as, so I carry the 0 point for all frequencies. I'm also one of the original seeders of this planet. My consciousness is beyond this 12th dimensional reality, so I can see the original human template, the original human design, the organic template. And because of the consciousness that's been here on the planet, which most, I'm sure this audience knows of the consciousness that's here, and the inverted matrix, that consciousness is only mental energy, so they cannot create. And the important part of our creative process is the emotions, the emotional aspect. So what we've been doing, what we've been guided to do through a hijacking of our communication system, is to have everything come into the mind and communicate to the heart. So what this does is it has us thinking our emotions instead of feeling our thoughts. So I'm shifting that frequency even as we're speaking, because I don't just arbitrarily talk. I'm actually in the energy and shifting the frequencies. But this process wanted to be spoken, because what most people are feeling is they're feeling confused, they're feeling lost. They don't get how to create, and they don't get what's happening. They don't understand what's happening to their body. They don't understand what's happening in the world. So in order to have an understanding of that, they've got to start, they have to actually get into the heart space, and they have to actually get into what we refer to as the 0 point. The 0 point is the space of no thing and all possibilities. That's in your heart. But where most people are is, and what the 0 point also is, the now moment without judgment. But what most people are going to is what I refer to as sort of the false 0 point, or the false neutrality, which is, I've got my feet on the floor, I'm looking out my eyes, I'm in my room, but I'm actually in my head. And so what happens is that, now you're dialoguing in your head and you've got an emotion going with that. And that frequency and energy is what you are vibrating as, what you're vibrating out to and creating back. So in order to go the next level and actually become the conscious creator, what you want to do is you want to start to notice right here in the privacy of your own self. And this is the magic of this, is that your entire existence is right here. So you have it all right here within yourself. So if you in this body, in this now moment, feet on the floor, I'm looking out my eyes, I'm in my body, I start to notice what is my thought. Notice then the emotion that's connected to that thought. And more importantly, notice what's happening to the body. Am I contracting? What am I doing? And that is when I can breathe and let go. And as I do that, now I'm in that 0 point. Now I'm in the all. But what happens there typically is we drop into there and you're in the unknown, and immediately you go into the known because you want to go back into thought, because we're taught to be afraid of the unknown or bring fear into the unknown. So the next step is, once I drop into that unknown, to start to say, instead of going, oh my God, I don't know, go, hey, this is great, I don't know. That means anything can happen. How exciting. Let's see what happens. Let's see where I am. And most importantly, it's that I don't know who I am. And when we go, oh my God, I don't know who I am, but go, oh, this is great, I don't know who I am. That means I don't have to own whatever's been happening in that sense, in that way, right? So I can actually discover. So once you get into that 0 point, and here's the thing, the 0 point is where we live. We are the 0 point because we are source consciousness. So the 0 point is the place of I am one with all, with everything, all possibilities. It is the creation place, right? So once we drop into that place, and I start bringing in excitement, exhilaration, curiosity, and allow for my imagination. Imagination is the key, because that is your blueprint. That's your drawing board of whatever it is you're creating. Then you're adding those emotions to it. Now I'm creating that in the ether, because that's how everything's created anyway. And then it ends up, it has to, by universal law, end up coming into my reality. And so, and there's so much more to this, because we are energy and frequency. And way I describe it is, all we're doing in human existence is matching frequencies in order to be comfortable. So, and source frequency is the highest frequency. So by universal law, faster moving frequencies try to raise slower ones up. That's just how it works. And so, imagine frequencies just as emotions. And so you and I come around each other, and I'm happy and you're mad. What's going to happen is I'm going to irritate you because I'm vibrating at a faster rate. So as long as I maintain my happy, you only have two choices. You either get happy with me or you go away. And so how many times have you been around somebody, you're happy, they're mad, they're not happy till you're mad, and then you're mad that you got mad, right? Because you lowered your frequency. So what we're discovering in the awakening, and what the actual ascension process is, like I said, the body is ascending, we're not ascending. So what's happening is we're awakening more of our light within this physical body, or we are embodying more of ourselves. And again, this is how I see it. So in order for us to create in a physicality, in something physical, we have to have a kind of container. So I see it as the human template. And I say template because there's more than one, there's several. And so, what consciousness does is it just wants to exchange information with other information, expand. That's just what consciousness does. So in order for it to create in a physical, it needs a kind of container. So think about it like the egg and the sperm, where the egg is like a container and the sperm, enters the egg. So the egg is information, sperm is information, enters into the egg, and then it begins to exchange information with each other, but it comes on top of each other to create a physicality because it has a kind of container. Well, we also have that, and this is a little bit different from our auric field because these are our templates, so we have many different templates. Well, imagine if this container, we were a room. So imagine in a room, you have a candle lit in the corner of the room. And so that would mean that you would have like 75% of the room is light, and 25% of the room is light, and 75% of the room is dark. So the difference between dark and light is information. Light is information, darkness is absence of information. And so if that scenario of the room were you, your body, that means I'd have 25% of my light, of me, that's occupying my body. That means 75% is something else. What is that something else? It's the collective, it's your parents, it's your belief systems, it's whatever. But just like in the room, all I have to do is make that candle light brighter and all the darkness goes away. Well, that's exactly the same thing within your body. So all you do is, as you're expanding you, your light, then all that is not you dissipates. So this is in essence what we're doing. As we are awakening more of ourselves, we're bringing more of our light, and then all that is not us is dissipating. What happens is, so just like the scenario, if we came around each other and I'm happy and you're mad and I'm going to irritate you, well, often as I'm bringing in more of my light, I'm now going to irritate my own body because my body's vibrating at a denser rate than I am. So this is where things start to happen. And also because everything's about a match, what happens is, as I embody more of my light and I'm dissipating that's not me, it's still going to seek a match because everything's energy and frequency. Clothes, my room, everything. So my goal is not to re-embody it, right? It's to stay in that neutrality, that 0 point presence. And so this is the practice, and to me, this is super important to have an understanding of, because it's all right here. This is what we're doing. It's just, and so what am I really saying? I'm saying, just get to know you. Just get to know you. Find out who you are. Ask yourself, get real. And so what I do, my practice is I say, I'm just going to keep my heart open. I breathe and I just imagine opening my heart. And then the next step is I say, what is my motivation for anything that I'm doing? What is it? Because am I motivated by fear, by obligation, by whatever, then I'm not in the 0 point. I'm not in authenticity. So what am I motivated? So this feels like the most important thing to bring forward today. So thank you.
Cathleena, thank you. And we do have to
welcome.
go to our next speaker pretty soon, but I do have some questions.
Sure.
Firstly, thank you so much for everything you shared. And this is really continuing the theme of what is the root,
Sure.
of this emotion, really just getting to, instead of just covering up the symptoms, right? Whether it's expressions or actual medical issues, but getting to the root of why these things are coming up and working those through.
Yeah.
But you did say, the body is ascending, not us. And, to me, that kind of made me realize that our consciousness is already awake, but the vehicle in which we're in has been limited in a way through external and internal, which is ultimately all internal realities that are basically inhibiting our consciousness to fully be expressed, right? Whether it's our brain, whether it's our DNA. Is that kind of what you're thinking too?
Yes, it's because of all the many lifetimes and the participation and all the different things that we've done. It's also because we are like a conglomerate, I guess, of 21 different species of galactic lineage. And the thing is that all of that, because we're energy and frequency, there's communication going on all the time. So even when you think of like the genetic aspect of that is, there's this so multidimensional, multi-layered, because you've got the human idea of the genetic, but really just take it to the multidimensional level of energetics, and it's an energetic communication. And so the whole idea is to recognize that I am sovereign, and sovereign means self-governed internally. So as a sovereign being, I get to decide what I am listening to, whether it's through my, galactic genetic lineage or whatever I think is the human lineage. It's just, we haven't been taught this. And so as we experience, and this is what, how I work and how I see is I'm able to experience all of this. So when you can get, really in your heart and get quiet and notice all of the belief systems that you've been told, but participate instead, with that, and start to participate within the body, it will tell you everything, and because we're not really learning anything, we're removing all the blocks from all the knowledge that we have, because we are source consciousness,
Do you think some of those layers are in place because of an outside force that's put, let's say, a grid over and not forces us, but programs us to think our feelings and not feel our thoughts, which is brilliant. I've never heard it put that way, but that's, yes. So what put that mechanism in place, and what's that going on?
Well, there's a lot of factors in that. I mean, there's been so much genetic manipulation that's taken place over eons of time within the original human genome. So I happen to carry the original human template in the genome, so be able to recognize that and see it as the organic and part of the communication system. So literally the hijacking of the communication system has inverted the mind and the heart so that the actual connection is different. So this is part of what is happening when I'm actually stepping in with a person, is shifting that awareness and then calibrating the senses to the heart instead of calibrating the senses to the mind, because that's what's happened. So it's literally like an energetic, and yes, because these energies are still here wanting to keep humanity enslaved, I mean, we're guided to play out 3 major frequencies: enslavement, imprisonment, and sacrifice. These are the major frequencies as humanity is guided to continually play out. And so these energetics are here to continue that. And yes, there's been all kinds of genetic manipulations to shift this on physical levels as well as energetic levels.
So, but we're at a turning point now. It feels like, because we're having a forum like this and many people are waking up, that something different is happening. So how do you see that unfolding as this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the ascension is already going on, because it's an ascension because the body's ascending, right? So it's an ascension. 100%. There is, and I just heard this from Elizabeth April, actually just did a thing the other day, and the Arcturians were speaking and talking about, the defining of 2 timelines that are pretty present here right now, and you can feel it. And the reason that there are 2 is because there's a lot of individuals who just don't want to change, don't want to shift, and that's free will. I mean, we do have free will, and that's happening. And here, it's so interesting when you can really go to that real degree, that depth of that understanding of sovereignty. It's like, it's really powerful, because, we can say I'm sovereign. What sovereign means is self-governed internally. So I truly am self-governed internally. And when I can own that, really own that, to whatever, it's so incredibly, it's liberating, but it's powerful in a way of not power over anything. It is the full embodiment as pure source consciousness, and that's really what we want to recognize. And I am seeing that more and more. And I think that the more that humanity can recognize, it's all right here. I have the power. It's me. I'm right here. And I'm you, right? So we're all one. So it's an energetic field of all one. So when I'm doing it, I'm with you and all, it's, and I see it is happening. It's beautiful and exciting. And so, yeah, I'm very excited.
Thank you so much, Cathleena. I actually had like a million more questions, but I'm assuming we're not going to get into it. But
go ahead, go do one more, Neil.
No, we don't have time. But I was going to say that actually I have 5 more slots available for this next event that I'm coming up. So if all of you are willing to be a part of it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But this one's called the Ultimate Star Beings Conference. It's going to be the largest ET event ever created, like 6 full days, 10 hours a day. But I want to know what you mean by seeders of the planet. I want to know tools to get to the 0 point, all that stuff. So, So let's connect some more. Thank you so much, Cathleena, for everything you do.
Yeah, I love what you said. I think it really helps rebalance our perspective. So thanks for being here. Yeah, and hang out and let's interact after everyone goes through their presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's we are a little behind, but it's all good. We'll just go ahead and show some events coming up here. So as I just shared, that I'm extremely excited for is the largest ET event that I've ever come across. Definitely that I've ever put on or have ever seen, and I've been looking at all of them. But first I'm going to show you this that Ellen and I are hosting together with Joan, who's also here with us and has been an integral part on really putting this together. And I'll say some stuff about it. And Ellen, if you want to chime in here too. So we did the first 2, 2018, 2019 in Irvine, California. Then we went online for 3, 2 in 2020, 1 in 2021. Actually 4, and we did 1 this year, at the beginning of this year. So we have a spring version of this. We have an October version of this, fall version, but this is our spring conference. So we've changed the date to the Portal to Ascension live conference. Finally going back to live events. This is going to be like the biggest baby to date. Like we're bringing so much love and attention here. but the site just got launched yesterday, and it's going to be at the Marina Village Conference Center, which is like 5 minutes from SeaWorld, right looking over the marina in San Diego. So it's a super beautiful area, and I'm just going to share with you some of the speakers coming up. Truly beyond excited for this because I've been waiting for the moment to really go live again. And I'm going to go with this list. Alan, you want to jump in? Please do.
Yeah. Well, JJ and Desiree Hertak are our premier spiritual teachers. JJ Hertak had an ascension, actual physical ascension in 1973, came back and wrote the Keys of Enoch as a kind of blueprint for how humanity can raise their vibration. And his wife, Desiree, is an amazing person as well. So they're a team and very solid foundation in the spiritual world. Who else do we have here?
We have Robert Schoch. So Robert Schoch is geologist, and he's done things all over the world, but definitely a lot in Egypt. And he is the individual responsible for dating the new geological studies of the Sphinx. Yeah, Alan.
Well, I have to say, Robert Schoch invented the field of astroarchaeology, meaning that these archaeological remains were dated back to certain star system patterns. And he was responsible for dating the Sphinx back 10,000 years to the water weathering in Egypt when before the Sahara and when it was more jungle. And that opened up a whole field of ancient knowledge. And he's still working on bringing new ancient knowledge to the planet.
The conventional date of the Sphinx is like 3000 BC, but his whole thing is that it was actually being rebuilt then. It had been built for thousands of years before. But we're just going to go over everybody really quick, just a few words.
Okay,
yeah. Right now.
Kellen Corey just ready to film called Tear in the Sky, where she found a portal in space over Cathleena Island and videotape these UFOs coming through that portal. Of course, who are we looking at? I'll just send you Adam Apollo. What do you want to say about him?
So Adam Apollo, man of many hats. He helped create Nassim's website, the Resonance Project, a really great ambassador for the Resonance Project. But stuff that I really love from him is his galactic history and origins presentations and galactic technology, because he's visited many different systems. So he has like this groundbreaking presentation he did on Portal to Ascension, available at portaltoascension.org for free if you sign up. And on that one, he talks about different technologies from different races. So this one is going to be, combination of like Humanity Awakening, which is the theme for the whole conference, but definitely it's going to go into the whole cosmic element of it all. All right, Linda,
I just want to say all these people are going to be there live in person, 3D, 4D, maybe 5D presence, but so it's a whole different feeling when you can interact, go to dinner, hang out, ask questions.
Vendors. Yeah, we're gonna have cacao.
How do people get tickets? And we'll get back to
we're tickets at gettickets.com. So Linda Moulton-Howe, Robert Grant. I'm just gonna go down this list.
Okay, Linda Moulton-Howe would say is the top ufologist. She's more cutting edge than anyone I've ever met. Barbara Lamb is
Barbara Lamb, Michael Cremo, Joan of Angels, the Stargate Experience, which is going to be cool because we've kind of teamed up forces. So they're bringing their whole device down and be leading some epic meditations. Geraldine Orozco, she's also in the Hybrid Conference. We're going to have Breathwork with Rob Earth, Eric Rankin, Sonic Geometry, Lori Spagna, Benevolent ETs, Shariah, who is also a woman of many hats and who actually was a really huge part as well as Joan in creating this event. Jenna Layden, Sheila Seppi are both sponsors of the event.
Larissa Stowe, incredible musician, brilliant. You'll love her music. We're gonna have a special concert night Saturday night.
Musicians here. Yeah, we got music every night and sound healing every morning. And then here are your hosts. We got Deborah Juicy, the Ascension panel, my brother Alan, Michelle, Tangela is going to be there, and myself. So we'll do a whole entire webinar just on this conference, but just letting you guys know, ascensionconference.com is up. You can sign up to attend live or live stream, but it's going to be extremely fun. Like we're going to make this a huge party. We're going to have an after party on the Monday, so if you stick around, that's going to be pretty cool.
Great. No, it's really going to be fun. Thanks for presenting that, Neil. I'm really excited about that, bringing everyone together. So, okay, who's up next here?
All right, so next we have Cathleena Covalt, and as Cathleena was on, I realized she hadn't been on Portal to Ascension. I checked out her website, so I just want to correct that real quick. And I really love everything she had to share, that I wanted to bring her on in the first, just so you guys, not only are you getting to know her for the first time, but so am I. So we're kind of having similar experiences here in regards to really diving into these speakers for me, some of them are just for the first time. That's really going to give us the opportunity to have them on other events on Portal to Ascension. All right, so Kathleen Covalt, she has a couple of interviews up on our YouTube, and the last one we did was on the Hermetic principles. It's pretty awesome. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. And Kathleen has a doctoral degree in educational psychology with a specialization in transpersonal psychology and a master's degree in psychological counseling. Over the years, Kathleen has studied philosophy, psychology, counseling, education, intuition development, energy healing, cultural diverse spiritual paths, and UFO UAP phenomena. Together with her husband for 13 years, they raised sheep and chicken, who taught her about the incredible intelligence of nature's creatures. At the deepest level, we're all truly one consciousness. For pure energy presentations, intuitive guidance, Kathleen synthesizes her research and creates presentations she teaches at colleges, wellness centers, local venues, and online via Zoom. She also offers private intuitive guidance sessions with the Holy Well Oracle cards reading. Hey, Kathleen, good to see you again.
Hello, Neil. Thank you for this. This is great.
Definitely. I'm really excited for what you're going to share today. And I know you wanted to share a screen, right? So you can take
Yes.
it away.
Yes. All right. Here we go. Okie doke. There we go. Do you see that all right then?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do today is talk about our theme, Humanity Awakens. And I'm going to share my vision for an awakened humanity. As humanity awakens, we begin to expand our awareness and perceive our world, our reality in a whole new way. But this is much more than a paradigm shift where we shift our worldview from one conceptual framework to another. We are awakening to an actual physical, energetic shift. Our bodies are actually physically changing and evolving. Our Mother Earth and our great solar angel, our sun, are also undergoing a great evolutionary shift. We are beginning to perceive and live in a broader range of the electromagnetic spectrum. And you can see that image there of the electromagnetic spectrum. And as some of you probably remember from your science classes, we actually only perceive a very small portion of that spectrum. It's called the visible light or white light portion. And then that can be broken down into what we know as the Roy G. Biv, or the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And then we know that there's animals that can see and perceive and listen to in a broader range of the spectrum. And then we as humans have technology that lets us go into the ultraviolet and the infrared, into the microwave and up to the gamma ray. But I believe that this electromagnetic spectrum goes to infinity in all of its dimensions. So I say, who lives over there? And who lives over there? I don't really think of it too much as dimensions, let's say. I think of it as the electromagnetic spectrum having these frequencies. We all vibrate, as other people here tonight have said already, and that there are aspects of the electromagnetic spectrum that are beyond our current perceptual abilities. But part of the awakening of our consciousness, the expansion of our awareness, is to be able to perceive a broader range of this spectrum. And so I believe that there are actually beings that were once out of our perceptual range that are becoming more and more visible to us. They live over there and over there. That's where they hang out. And we're able to perceive them now more to a greater extent. I think that communication with these beings is definitely increasing, and more we will find that we are living in a vastly more wondrous universe that is teeming with life. Our empathy and communication with all of the kingdoms of nature is increasing to our great delight. And as Neil introduced me, for over 10 years, my husband and I raised wonderful little sheep and chickens. And this is a picture of Lilith, Betty, and Barney. And my husband and I would go into our barn every night and we'd read to them and pet them and groom them. And they were the smartest sheep ever. And here we are reading some classical literature, Pride and Prejudice. So there's not that many sheep that know that. But I believe that all of nature is also evolving. And so we are becoming able to communicate with all aspects of nature now. Our concept of what is physical is expanding to include what is now considered subtle energies. We're developing and strengthening our innate human abilities like intuition, healing intention, and our mind's ability to affect matter. As a matter of fact, I teach classes on intuition and bending spoons, which is a type of your mind ability to affect matter. And more people are interested in these things and finding, wow, just with given the opportunity to do it, wow, they can do it. They didn't even realize that they actually have the abilities right now. Our ideas of how governments and institutions should function are changing. As a matter of fact, any governments or institutions that are not built upon the new energies will collapse and fail unless major restructuring happens. And I think of this as like the Shiva energy. The Shiva here you see dancing is holding fire that represents the energy of destruction, but it's also a cleansing, a making way for the new. And in his other hand, Shiva is holding the drum that beats a certain frequency. And that's the frequency that creates the new. So here comes the Shiva energy, and any of our institutions, governmental entities that have been built on the old, anything built on the old, really, it's going to fail. It's going to fall apart. That's okay. We need to focus on creating the new with the new frequencies that are here. There will likely be great earth changes. Extremes of all kinds will disrupt our notion of what is normal life. But with focused attention of many in prayer and meditation, and the assistance of many who are maintaining their inner sense of calm, we can mitigate a portion of these destructive events. I believe we actually have the power to affect weather, and that coming together in groups of like minds, that we can do a lot to help us through these weather changing events. There will be a new value on the importance placed upon the sense of community. Folks of like mind will gather together to support each other through all the changes ahead, which is exactly what Portal to Ascension is doing, bringing folks of like mind together to build this new world. With our awakening, humanity is acknowledging the reality of the UFO UAUP phenomena. And I specifically say UAUP because that is new terminology in a new potential law. It hasn't been signed yet, but it's been proposed and voted on and is going forward. UAUP stands for Unidentified Aerospace Undersea Phenomena. And if people are not aware, there has been an official office called AARO, AARO, which stands for All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, that already has been established within our government, within the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, and it's going to be synchronized with the intelligence community and other federal departments to detect and identify anomalous, unidentified, space, airborne, submerged, and transmedium objects. And the reason they say transmedium is they have already, the governmental agencies called ATIP and some other groups that were studying the UFO phenomena have identified that these objects that are anomalous, that are unidentified, have been able to transmedium, which means go through space, our atmosphere, and into water. And I might add, they haven't been talking about going into solid matter, but I do wonder if that's a capability of these objects as well. And so our government now is officially studying this. It's opening it up. It's no longer something to be mocked. We are embracing the reality of this phenomenon in our culture right as we speak. And with our awakening, humanity is realizing that we are, in fact, cosmic citizens among a vast community of beings. This is a beautiful new photo from the James Webb Telescope that has just started to send back amazing photos. With our awakening, humanity is exploring consciousness as the fundamental, primary, creative force in our universe. These new understandings will allow our scientists, mystics, and creatives to develop new tools, new techniques, and new inventions that will benefit our lives in wondrous ways. With our awakening, humanity is recognizing that as human beings, we are not our bodies. Our bodies are our sacred vehicles for the evolution of our souls. With our awakening, humanity is remembering the sacred teachings of esoteric spiritual disciplines and ancient mystery schools, that the path of human evolution includes the transmutation of our physical bodies into bodies of light. Many of us will commit to walking this path of initiation into these great mysteries. That's Padme Sambhava in his rainbow body in this image here. With our awakening, humanity is feeling a deep, sincere gratitude for the loving help of highly advanced spiritual beings who are available to us on our journey of awakening. And there's Mary as a young girl with this light being that is Gabriel, the archangel. With our awakening, humanity is embracing our destiny, that we are here on this beautiful Mother Earth at this most special, most precious time in our history to co-create with her and with our life-giving solar angel, our sun, in accordance with the vast wisdom of the universal mind and with each other. And what is our creation? It is a new earth, a new heaven on earth. It is a time of peace, a time of kindness and compassion, a time of revolutionary inventions and advancements. And what is our creation? It is us. We are the new humans. We are an awakened humanity. Just sending out my blessings, blessings, blessings to everyone here present and viewing in the future. And then I have a website, Facebook, YouTube channel, Twitter, that people can look up my stuff. I teach many different classes on Zoom. And just remember, for my website, it's real long and you got to put the /presentations at the end. So thank you very much. I'll stop sharing now. Here you go, Neil.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
That's great. One more thing I wanted to add when you were talking about the new office in the government is that not just anomalous, but they hint about the interdimensional qualities of the UAPs, UFOs. They're saying somewhere, John Ramirez, who's a CIA agent who I interviewed recently, said they're finding the UFOs don't just go through air or water, but they may go through other, they don't actually say interdimensional, but other, well, I don't know what they call it, other substances, other ideals. They kind of hint at the interdimensionality without saying the interdimensional word. but
Yes.
they're open to it. They are very much investigating sort of what we're talking about today.
That's right. And they're not saying that some of these beings are from other planets, although some may be, but they are talking, they're opening up the idea that some have always been here, that some are in the other dimension, just like you're saying, Alan. They're leaving that all open and on the table. They're not just saying they've gotten here from there, which I think some of them have, but they are really being very open to looking into all the possibilities of where these beings may reside.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems the government is having with full disclosure, because what would they say, or what would people react saying, well, you know what, they've always been here, they've been slipping in and out of our dimensions, and we've just been conditioned not to see the bigger reality. And I think that's really partly what it comes down to. Of course, there are other beings from other places, but I think we've been just very limited, as Cathleena has said, in our awareness, because we've chosen to be asleep, and now we're changing those fuses, right, Ginette? So that's sort of what I feel. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you,
Neil.
Kathleen. And we do have a few moments. I want to open up to the panel. Ginette, Kristin, Cathleena, if you guys want to make a comment or ask a question, go ahead.
I definitely have a comment I wanted to say. I love how you highlighted, Kathleen, at the end of that, how we are the new humans. Like, we are the new humans in the now. And I love that you brought all of that back to the now, because it connects with what Cathleena was saying as well about like embodying and getting to know the body to find the answers, find the insights in the humans we are now, and how we are part of this whole co-creation with the ETs, with the higher realms, with the guides, angels, all of that in the now. And so I love that you finished with that, because I feel that just brought it all together. It is, we are the now. So it just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really a good comprehensive overview, because we're like in a timeline bifurcation, and we're just kind of doing the internal work and then choosing, okay, are we going to the higher, or are we going to stay in the kind of downward spiral of self-destruction or self-evolution? So we're really at a crucial point in history, and in a way, that's why it's so exciting, because, you know, it's up to each of us to make that choice and energetic commitment to something more than the past. You know?
Yes, it's really an act of creation that we're choosing in every moment.
Right. It's an act of creation. I think we don't realize how powerful, well, you know, lots of people say it, but how powerful our thought form creations really can be.
That's right.
And
Exactly.
I love all these people here talking about really empowering ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Now, also, I just want to say, you know, I loved what you presented, because it's really full circle, and that's what Portal to Ascension is. Like, you know, why do we delve into ancient history, like thousands and thousands of years of ancient past? Why do we talk about UFOs and we're called Portal to Ascension? It's that all of these are different aspects of us realizing the vastness of what it means to have this experience in this dimension, you know? And so, yeah, I really appreciate that. I wrote an article a while ago called "What do UFOs have to do with meditation?" Because at one point I thought, like, you know, just like from an outside perspective, just looking into the UFO community and how so many people have become very spiritual, you'd wonder, you know, why is it these are UFOs? How come it's almost like there's this spiritual energy realization around it? And it definitely goes into what, you know, what we're talking about here is the whole interdimensional nature. It's all a frequency game, right?
That's right. And part of the raising of our consciousness is an expanding of our awareness. And as we understand that there's these other beings we understand that we are part of something greater. And so this is, again, expanding our awareness. Also, for the scientists, when they start to take this seriously, they recognize that these objects, and they are objects because they're getting photographed and sonar and stuff, that they maneuver in ways that our current physics does not adequately explain. And so this is going to push ahead our understanding of physics and the nature of reality. And that's what this whole awakening is about. We are waking up internally as well, but also we're understanding reality in a completely new way. And because of the UFO phenomena, scientists are getting on board to go forward with a new understanding of the nature of reality.
You're absolutely right. That is actually why I wrote this book. It's like covers a lot of what you said, but thank you for saying that, because we cannot say it enough, that we are entering new realities because we're being pushed to activate more of our human potential. Yes. Yes.
You know, that reminds me of what they said when they originally came out with the mass disclosure, you know, ever since Tom DeLonge did his live stream like 6-7 years ago. They said that these structures, these craft are doing things that are not possible. That was the first red flag for them, like, you know, laws of physics. And then like within 2 years later, they shifted that to, well, actually these craft are doing something we know are possible, but we've only been able to do on a subatomic level in a lab. So they're actually doing things that we know we can do, but they're thousands of years in the future. So as long as our consciousness really matches the technology that is out there, we can end up using these things to really go and be the ambassadors to other stars. We have a whole galaxy beyond and beyond of experiences, magical experiences waiting for us, you know?
That's
I was just going to say, we're still using physics that is 400 years old, created by Newton in the 1700s. We have not evolved to applications of a physics based on consciousness and quantum field technology. So
as a matter of fact, one of the big names in this field is Dr. Hal Puthoff. He wrote a paper saying that if we can just engineer space-time, still using Einstein's theory of general relativity, the physics that we know, if we can engineer it in a certain way, we can get results that are what these objects are demonstrating. So we don't even need a new physics. We just have to think about it in a new way. And so I think this is very exciting. It's not like throwing everything out. It's just looking at it with fresh eyes and fresh input.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you're saying. And we're at the threshold of that next step. And it seems like the government's helping us too. Cathleena, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I want to make a comment. You know, what I'm experiencing from an energetic perspective is that everything you're talking about, what's in this multidimensional layering of us having an understanding of who we are, you know, the physical body is the representation of all of the galactics, of all of the technology, of all of the universal concepts of everything. And we are that. And so, you know, right here in the privacy of your own home, in your own beingness, as you drop into that 0 point and explore and allow for your consciousness, because you are God consciousness, to explore that, you know, you are all that you are experiencing. And so it's interesting because I'm looking at it from, you know, like this is, we would consider this sort of the micro level, and then there's, we think of it as the macro, you know, what we can see, and the bigger, but invert that as well, because this that is the physical body is the macro awareness of everything, you know, in terms of the technology and all that. I mean, the heart itself is a technology. We're all technology. So as I'm listening to all this and I'm thinking about what you've created, Neil, it's like, I mean, if you took all of that and somebody took that awareness in the physical body, it is the same. I mean, this is what, you know, this is what I'm aware of as I'm, you know, connecting with the physical body and with humanity. And, you know, this is the reality of what we're really waking up to. We are all of that.
And
So
that also accelerates the physical body, that awareness. So
yeah,
that's the ascent. That's part of the ascension. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing, Cathleena. Kathleen, thank you so much once again for coming on Portal to Ascension. Truly appreciate you, you know, and when I remember when I first looked at your website, saw so many different topics that you cover. So I just really appreciate your full circle awareness and approach to everything.
I appreciate that, Neil. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Okay. So do you want to do an announcement or should I?
Well,
just-
next is music.
Oh, okay. That's you.
Yeah,
You're
that's
the
me. Do you
music.
want me to introduce it?
Well, I have to say, besides Neil spending 24 hours of his day trying to put together the most incredible programming on YouTube, when he's not doing that, he's writing beautiful, not just beautiful, but spiritually intent poetry and raps that communicate his soul message. Like this is his day job, you know, but his poetry and his rapping is something that comes from that deeper part of him, and it's entertaining and it's educational and it's fun to just hear someone put the information within a creative space. So ladies and gentlemen, Neil Gaur and his spiritual rap, I guess extravaganza, would you want to call it that?
Thank you so much, brother. Just to let everybody know, the YouTube is only like 5% of the footage and the content we create. If you want to really tune into all the other stuff that we do, go to portaltoascension.org and sign up there. And we have a new website launching, and I don't know if we're going to get to show you today, but I'm going to show it to you pretty soon. I'm really excited for this. And so if you want to tune into more of our productions, music, wellness, we're creating a whole yoga area too, like a lot of different content. Go to portaltoascension.org. And I'm going to share some poetry with you all. And my hip hop name is MC Resonance, my artist name. So today what I did was I just went to my lyric folder, and because I didn't prepare for this, so I just picked 3 random poems that I'm going to go ahead and sing, perform for you. So let's see if you can see my screen properly when I show this. Okay, so I just have in my notepad, and please excuse the spelling mistakes because this is like direct, like 1 minute writing it down, not even looking at spelling, just like creating the poetry. So I'm gonna do 3 pieces here. First one's called Chaos Theory, and the other one has no name. The last one is Secret History. No, I'm gonna do Secret History second, and then the one that has no name. Just to let you know that if you heard my poetry before, I'm in the process of finishing the poetry album, in which, you know, I have a bunch of spoken word pieces backed up to classical music like piano, violin, different instruments. That's going to come out hopefully by December, so stay tuned for that. And these ones are going to, my first album is called Planet Earth. This one is not on the Planet Earth album. It's going to be on the Esoterically Minded album. Solidify the meaning that you had of the chaos theory. Man is free to be anything he wishes, as long as he stays under the bridges. The digits add to the numerical positioning of atoms, and energy creates wings to fly freely. In the atmosphere, we score through volcanic ashes. It lasts a millennia for him. He lashes back at the governing entity. He flashes fast. Can nobody see his mentality? This person is me. This person is me. Infinity in our brain capacity, like a galaxy where our own hell can dwell and create a spell, while we pass on into a permanent sleeping spell. When we pass on to a permanent sleeping spell. It's the perception of mind, intertwined with a channeled find of adolescence, redefined cosmic knowledge of why, how we exist in matrix-like. Environmental, delusional, confused by all my thoughts, manifest energy in dimensions that only exist in mentality. That is hard to believe. Close your eyes and you will see vibrations of synergy, anatomical chronicles of rules and laws. Find the meaning for a truer cause. Mind over matter, ancient druid, matter over mind. We give meaning to objects in materialistic ways. So we no longer embrace our internal world. Look within and realize there is no good or evil, and sin to me never calls. Jump down the rabbit hole and free fall. Spread knowledge to all. Do not convince, only guide the spirits with angelic intentions. When we realize the nature of reality, you will be mentioned in my eulogy. Gases that we cannot breathe. Ancient artistic interpretation of people and trees, concentrated on gods that we now question. It's the only life lesson. Welcome to the revolution of ascension. Welcome to the revolution of ascension. I generate rhymes that penetrate timelines, travel back into worlds unseen and unheard. In the beginning was the word, unfathomed, the illusion of reality is blurred, a dimension where words were slurred, not quite yet articulated, dualistic experiences when not yet occurred. So I fly high, open my metallic wings like a bird. In days of old, I was a celestial craft with lightning surrounding, taking off in a flash through bridges in space-time. Eliminate distances. Life is just a series of instances. I'm instantly in bliss when I reminisce of a fifth dimensional activist who raised his fist to stop all of this division within the prism. This industrial system is forcing the Messiah to once again become risen, not letting energy time to dismiss them. I wish them or they, but who is they to never reincarnate again, recycle the souls into the central black hole, time to bring back the days of old, combined with a new wisdom. I embrace my earthly mission. The intergalactic vision is to rejoin all the civilizations that are patiently waiting for us to grow up and mature, the beings that are here to reassure that one day this universal war that is currently at the shores of our watery planet will no longer endure. The karmic cycle will end, space-time will bend, and our ancestors from the heavens will descend. And our ancestors from the heavens will descend.
Wow, I have never heard that one before, Neil. That's like an anthem. That is.
I haven't read
just-
those in a few years, so it was the first time I read them in like 4 or 5 years.
That could be like a hit song. That should be our theme, you know. That I'm gonna ask Larissa Stowe if she can put that to music and just
Yeah, that'd be so awesome.
Wow, yeah. Any comment on Neil's genius?
Amazing, beautiful, powerful. I love it. Yeah, really. I could feel the energetics. It's like, oof. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, poetry, the reason rhymes, I studied poetry, and they say the rhymings of those words goes deeper into our subconscious mind. You know, it's not just affects us, oh yeah, that's a nice rhyme, but it somehow penetrates the logical thinking and allows this other level of awareness to take place, because we really think in patterns, and these rhythmic patterns are the kind of subconscious connection to the world. So that's the power of poetry. So
Thanks, brother.
thank you, Neil.
I love how it was like deep esoteric wisdom too, like just like so much depth to it with that, you know, with that lyrical and like your creative spin on it. It really like resonates. I love the wisdom within the rap. So I love that. That was awesome.
Thanks, Kristin.
Yeah. Great,
All right.
Neil. Okay.
Thanks, man. I really like the reason why I started creating poetry was because I was learning all this stuff like 2001, 2003, and I wanted to do lectures, but I felt the best way to convey the information, like a bunch of information, was in one poem, you know? And so I just love just reciting these poems and just really just putting in everything that I'm learning into song format. But I agree, like when you have it on that frequency level of music, it's a whole different experience. Like I performed these poems at like thousands, probably like over 2,000 open mics since 2008. And most of them, there were nobody that even understood what I was talking about. So it was really like a test to how to speak this information to people that weren't in the know. And the comment that I would always get back was that I had no idea what you're talking about, mate, but the frequency I felt, that was like a really common response.
Yeah, no, thanks, Neil. It really is. It's art. It's who was talking about art in one of these last presentations. It's the new level of the creative manifestation, which is why I think we incarnated on the planet, is to have creative awakenings, to awaken the creative potential, which gives us the new abilities to feel in ways we haven't felt before. So I think creativity is our destiny. Actually, can you write a poem about that?
I agree with that. Yeah. All right, so let's get into our next guest. Ala, do you want to introduce our next guest?
Yes. I'm really happy to work with Kristin Johnston, because the first time I saw her wasn't too long ago, but I knew this woman has something to share with the world. This woman is, let's say, sort of the next Marianne Williamson in a sense, because she is so passionate and so devoted to her healing and planetary healing and awakening. And she's had such a hard process to get there, but because it was kind of her initiation, she understands how we can awaken as a human civilization, because she's been through it. She's been through the dark side, out to the light. And she talks about that in her last book called Heal the People. It's like she is downloading the healing frequencies, not as an individual, but as the great kind of cosmic awakening that all of us has. And she's channeled it into this book called Heal the People. So I'm very happy, Kristin, that you can join us. She owns Quantum Healing in Massachusetts, a store, and she's a rising star in our field. So thanks. And yeah, tell us what you have to share. Yes.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I feel so honored and so blessed to be included and to just share in this space with you all, because you have so much wisdom and so much insight. And there were so many things I literally thought I should have a notebook with me to like take notes on some of this stuff, because so much resonated and so much was inspiring. And
you can watch it again if you want to. You can just watch it.
I'm gonna with a notepad. But one of the things you said, Neil, about how do you convey this message that comes from this like incredibly high level of consciousness or deep soulful desire to understand and to learn? How do you convey that to someone who might just be curious or not have the, you know, the passion for this information? So that's been like a really fun craft, I think, for me to develop, is like, how do I take this information and then explain it in a way that's so comprehensive, so understandable that anybody could pick up this book and have this accelerated consciousness, or pick up any, you know, or watch a video or listen to something. So that's kind of actually what I put together today a little bit, was like a very basic way to understand our capacity for creation as human beings. And so I don't want to go like a ton into my personal story. You know, Alan shared a little bit. I had sort of like this really deep in the shadows into the, you know, the light of consciousness sort of experience of the first half of my life. I didn't want to be human. I didn't understand the mission. I hadn't yet, I hadn't remembered who I was. I was really caught in the veil of illusion, and I didn't like it. And so I spent a lot of time trying to get out of it, until I realized that I started to remember my soul. You know, I was like, oh, this is why I came here. I came here to understand how to human effectively, how to create within this reality, and then how to share it with other people who might also be trapped in the veil of illusion. So I am going to actually share my screen. I put together a little.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you could do that. Good. We see it.
Can
Yes.
you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Oh, you know what? I gotta make it a little bit smaller. Hold on. Okay, because now I can see the whole screen. Okay, so I think the most important question facing humanity is the universe a friendly place? This is the first and most basic question all people must answer for themselves. And so I believe that creation is greater than survival. But why do you think he thought that that was the most important question, right? Because if we believe in our heart and in our mind that the universe is a hostile place, then we will spend all of our energy, all of our resources, all of our creative consciousness and our capacity for protecting ourselves, for defending ourselves, for building up barriers over layers on top of ourselves, layers of humanity on top of our soul. We'll feel the need to protect ourselves. And so if we, on the other hand, believe that we live in a friendly universe, we'll spend all of our energy, all of our resources, all of our conscious capacity for curiosity, for connecting, for creating, for love, for communication. And that includes interstellar communication. We won't be so afraid of each other. We won't be so afraid of the stars or afraid. We will live with curiosity and a desire to understand, like the mystics, this deep question of who am I? What is this? And instead of using our analytical faculty for self-protection, we'll use it for curiosity and for creation. So I really truly in my heart believe that that creation is greater than survival. But I think that is the awakening that's taking place. Like that is the shift in consciousness that we're seeing take place within humanity, is we're starting to ascend in our consciousness from fear into love. And I love that Alan said the Marianne Williamson thing, because I am so inspired by her, the Course in Miracles, that says, it doesn't aim to teach what love is, because that's beyond what can be taught. The Course aims to dismantle the defenses that we've built against love's presence. That's the work. For me, that's been the awakening, is this chipping away the things that I'm not, to reveal who I've always been, who I'll always be, who we will always be as one consciousness. So our beliefs structure our reality, and it's not just our individual lives, it's the collective reality that we experience as life on planet Earth. We are all creators. We might not all identify as being creative, but we are all creator beings, and we are all having an influence on the architecture of our reality. And if we can see that, if we can remember that, then we become powerful elements of positive change in the world. But we have to remember, we have to shift our consciousness from that, that need to protect and defend because we've been hurt, and instead get curious and find forgiveness and find understanding, and really get curious about who we are as humans, and also who we are as spiritual beings. And instead of favoring one or the other, how do we integrate? How do we merge our spirit with our humanity? We've kind of seen a great divide amongst different traditions. There's like this denial of the body to ascend into the spirit. And then there's also the flip side, which is, to completely try to sever yourself from the heart and to just solely identify with the body. Our job right now, I believe, in part of our awakening humanity, is to merge all of it, to bring it all into alignment, so we can really express the full spectrum of what we came here to express. So these beliefs, these vibrations, right? As so many of us tonight have talked about vibration and energy, they're held within us. It's inside of us. And so our mental and our emotional beliefs, our conscious and our subconscious, meaning even things we don't know that we're aware of, our individual and our collective beliefs are shaping the material world that we experience. And so we're kind of seeing this massive polarity, right? Because so many of us are ascending on this frequency, yes, but it was mentioned earlier tonight, many are still living in fear. And so we're sort of seeing this split kind of playing out on the world stage. And right now we have the power to shift that. And it happens through groups like this. It happens with people like us, and kind of like taking our power back for our individual creations, and really understanding, how do we show up in the world? What kind of energy do I bring forth into the world? And so Margaret Mead had this quote, and I absolutely love it. It says, "Never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has." And so I have this little image here of sort of the scales, and we've got one enlightened being on one side, and we've got the masses on the other side. And for millennia, it's been a select few truly enlightened masters who have calibrated the scale of the unconscious masses. There's an infinite power in the enlightened being, enough to balance out the rest of humanity. But what if everybody starts waking up? What if average people like myself start reaching these expanded levels of consciousness and anchoring them onto the planet? Is humanity ready? Can we finally tip the scales? That's the question that's kind of been in my heart, is like, what if average everyday people touch that level of consciousness that the mystics and the saints and the masters talked about? What if people on the ground were doing this work, and they are, and I'm witnessing it. It's such a blessing. I think we wouldn't be having this conversation if this shift in consciousness wasn't very real and very tangible, and wasn't, it's so possible. We're witnessing it. It's happening now, just like Ginette said, like, it's happening right now in this very moment. We are awakening. And so some of the things that if I find myself questioning or leaning into fear or observing a world that appears to be a fearful one, I will use certain people as anchor points to remind myself of the changes that are happening in the world that are all leading to this ascension, leading to this awakening. And so I just included a few of these people and the things that I see them doing in the world. Dr. Gabor Mate, he is unbelievable trauma. He wants to create a trauma-informed society, a world of healed humans, and he's doing it. And he has multiple books, and it's incredible. And if you don't know him, I would say look him up. He's brilliant. Rick Doblin, who is blending mental health with psychedelic research, and he has been working for 50 years. 50 years, he's Harvard trained to decriminalize MDMA to be used for therapeutic use. That is going to change, though it's changing the world. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's my absolute favorite. I love his stuff. His books, his lectures, his workshops, helping people tap into the quantum field to heal, reverse disease. It's revolutionary. And Zach Bush, who's revolutionizing agriculture. So he's helping farmers take their power back so we can understand the power of the soil and healing the gut. Paul Chek, Mind Body Medicine, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, a whole new level of science. Every single person here tonight who's listening, participating, like we are it. We are the new earth. We're doing it. We're creating it. So every single person who's making a major positive impact is aligning with one fundamental truth. Every single one of those people that I just showed you, they're teaching one fundamental truth, just expressed through the uniqueness of their own creative faculty. We are all one. We're all one consciousness. And we're starting to remember what we do to the earth, we do to each other. What we do to each other, we do to ourselves. As we each awaken and remember that truth, we become the ambassadors of a new earth. If I don't live in fear, if I live in creativity, then I see you as me. I don't see myself as separate from you or the need to defend myself from you or protect myself from you. If I don't believe that we live in a hostile universe, if I see our world as creative, as loving, as collaborative, then I live in a different way and I create in a different way. And the potentials that manifest themselves through me resonate on a frequency of love as opposed to fear. And so really just kind of like expressing that fundamental truth that we have the power to shift our perception. And it doesn't always have to be this great, massive, expanded shift in perception. Sometimes it's enough to just say, am I afraid right now? And if I am, what can I do to reconnect to love? And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But I think that that's the most, I would have to agree with Einstein. That is the most important question that we could ask. Do I believe that the world that I live in is hostile, or is it friendly? And it's so basic. And if you believe it's hostile, what can you do to shift that into love?
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you. That kind of pulls everything everyone said here tonight back to the person, to the practical personality in a way. Yeah, we're divine, but like, how does the personality integrate the higher frequencies? And what came to me one day is that we have to go beyond survival if we're going to survive, So it's like we need a new way, and the creative is why we incarnated. That is the purpose. That's the main reason. It's to create new experiences and make known the unknown. That's what my teacher said to me. So anybody else, let's bring it together because we only have about maybe 6 minutes. So please jump in, everyone here, and like just kind of,
I wanted to just jump in quickly. I love how you mentioned that like you're talking about creation, like is it survival or is it creation? And everything that I've been getting of downloads from my guides, from, my whole blueprint thing, whoever's coming through with higher consciousness is always talking about creation with a simple question of what do you want, right? What do you want as the human embodied right now? What do you want? And so I love that you did exactly bring that all back together, because I think if we're left with one question, it would be that, what do you want? And when you know what that is, or you feel a frequency of what it is, you follow the things that then bring that or create it. You work with the universe step by step. So it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I wanted to comment one thing about what you were talking about in terms of feeling it as though if the world were hostile, it's, since this is our world, it's like, if we feel out here is hostile, well, this is why the body's hostile. It's why it's hostile to us. And when you talk about the oneness, water is a consciousness, the earth is a consciousness, we are consciousness, and the same water that's in the earth is the same water here. So how I feel about the ocean, how I feel is how I feel about that within my body. So it's an interesting dynamic, you talk about that. So I thought that was beautiful about having that awareness, because, if I feel the world is hostile, then I'm engaging my body as hostile. So most likely I'm going to have all kinds of problems and things within my physical body. I'm not even recognizing that. And so, yeah, it's such about your belief systems, but having that recognition that I am not separate. Okay. How I think about somebody else is how I think about me. Or anything.
Yeah. And if we feel like we need to protect ourselves, the body lives in fight or flight. So that is just a signal for disease, of down regulation of our genetic expression, and then we wonder why we're all sick. And now I shouldn't say we're all, but there's chronic illness on the planet. We all a lot of us live in fear, chronic fear. Just that shift in consciousness heals the people. Thank you.
Heals the people. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Kathleen, did you want to jump in here?
Definitely. Every time we have a thought, it is a different vibration, and that vibration can affect different areas of the body as well. And so that area of the body is communicating that different kind of psychological or emotional state that you're in. So the body has wisdom. And if we can look at the different areas of the body and ask, what's going on? What do you want me to know? And we heal that. And just as you said, as Louise Hay, one of the great founders of thinking and healing, as she would say, there's some basic ideas, and fear is one of the basic things that causes disease. And so, and then it manifests in different forms. So I completely agree. I love that. And then you shift it to love or the creative, and that's a whole different vibe. And so that then energizes the body with that energy.
Yeah, I'm so happy you brought in love, because love is really our secret weapon. It's not really a secret, but it's the essence. It's what we are so capable of, and it's so neglected at moments in our history. So love, it's a little cliche, but yes, love is the answer.
It is. Beautiful. We only have a couple more minutes here, so I want to go back to you, Kristin, and have you maybe share more information about where people can find you. But I just want to say as well, connect to love. That is ultimately the reason why we're creating this, this series. But Portal to Ascension is not just like, connecting to love, but how we do that, as Cathleena has spoke about here and others, is we connect to ourselves, the true inner world, and we create this harmony within ourselves that we emanate to all of our external experiences. And I've been on this journey, definitely Portal to Ascension journey for quite some time. But for the last few months, I've been kind of traveling the world, really kind of lost and having a lot of issues come up, and really going around figuring out what it means to connect to myself and what it means to show up for myself and authentically in life, right? And what we have is not just what we spoke about today about truly connecting to yourself, but there's a lot of modalities in which you can do so, right? There's so many tools out there and you just need to find the right one for you. Not one modality is for everyone. And maybe we can talk about some tools, have like an event in another one where we really go deep into different tools to be in the 0 point, to connect to yourself, right, Alan?
I think that is a great theme for a show, because there are some very fantastic interdimensional tools, because consciousness has evolved to the awareness of interdimensionality. There's actually tools are an extension of consciousness. So now we're getting away from the industrial age, away from the Newtonian ideas of cause and effect. And we're bringing in, there's some fantastic tools that are helping to accelerate the union of, as Cathleena said, the body with the spirit. This is the fifth dimensional understanding. Yes, of course, we're physical, but the consciousness is merging and uplifting the body somehow. And
exactly.
that's
So yeah,
the
Kristin, do you
threshold.
want to share a little bit more? Just give us some closing words for today's panel, and where we can find out more about you.
Absolutely. One of my teachers always said, everything you do in life is either to try to get to love, or to shield yourself from the pain of love's absence in your life, what areas that you've defended yourself against it. But if you can access that vibration, that love vibration, that is the healing. That is the shift. That's why I've got, get your shift together, like get shifting out of fear and into love. We don't actually need to know anything else. I stand by that truth. We don't need to know anything else if we're emitting the frequency of love. Love will deliver every truth, every message, every connection. All we need, it's like the Beatles said, like all we need is love. If you have that, you have everything, and everything you think you need, everything you think you want will come to you by the magnification of your energy field, of your electromagnetic energy will draw every experience to you that resonates with love. That's the truth. That's the power. That's the wisdom. That's how we heal the planet. It's how we heal the planet, by healing the people. If we have a conscious race of humans who understand ascension, who understand awakening, and they connect to themselves and they connect to the planet, we will see and we will live in the new earth. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have been broadcasting this frequency pretty consistently, where that's my reality. It is the new earth, and I really truly believe that as we do this as individuals, we do this as a collective, because the illusion is that we're individuals. As we make the darkness within us conscious, if we bring that darkness, that shadow into light, and we alchemize it, we will watch the planet transform around us. That's our power. That's the shift. And if people want to explore more of these concepts and sort of climb through a ladder of our humanity, from our densest vibration of the body all the way into the peak of our spiritual experience, then they can read Heal the People. It's kind of like a map into the human experience, the way that I perceive it. And it is the tool that helped me to alchemize my own life, to travel and traverse from sort of the shadow into the light of higher consciousness, and to sort of embody and create a new earth on this planet. So, and the message was divinely given by a plant medicine plant teacher. I can't take credit for the title. I can take credit for the words within the book, but the title and the mission, to lean into that and really question that. What is healing? What does that mean? That was delivered to me through a profound plant medicine experience. And so the story of that, and the map of how anybody, anywhere, at any level of consciousness can ascend themselves, it's all in Heal the People, which is on Amazon. And if people are in Massachusetts, I've got a wellness center, and I also have a website with some cool, like, shifty clothing and things like that.
What's your website for your healing center? What is it?
It's quantumhw.com. So quantumhw for health and wellness.com.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kristin. Alan, we do have to close out, because as you know, we have another show.
I know you have something, but this, Neil,
I have an announcement. Do you want to? Yeah, you go ahead and say what you're going to say.
This has been a beautiful evening and experiment in communication, and we have these amazing women that and just accessing different parts of the movement of spirit, of the awakening of humanity. Now, I mean women, but people, but avatars of light, whatever we want to call ourselves. We are moving into a new time, and I can't think of a better way of demonstrating what you want to do with Portal to Ascension than have this as your premier program. So I'm honored to be here too. So thank you, Neil.
Thank you, brother. And yes, thank you to Kristin, Kathleen, Cathleena, Ginette. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and being a part of this is really the milestone event in creating this. It was kind of percolating in my head for a year, and it took 6 months to put together. We have a whole series going on. And to everybody that's tuning in, this will also be on our podcast, Portal to Ascension Radio, on all platforms. And we're going to be going live every single month. So take a look next month, the following month, Ancient Civilizations. For Christmas, we have Christ Consciousness theme with the Hertex and James Redfield and a few other people. And take a look at ptashow.com. And last announcement from me is that you might have noticed if you're on the YouTube that we don't have a lot of pre-record scheduled like we normally do. We're actually going to be going live 2 times a day, every other day, twice for the next 2 to 3 months. So we're shifting all the pre-records of the past events to 3 months of live experiences with interviews of all new people in Portal to Ascension. So I've had this list for years, and we're finally getting to it now. So you're going to see
new people are emerging, new people are coming forward, like with Awakening.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh God, I got to share that. I got to share this. So that's what
we're doing. There's so many people out there, especially now, are reaching out, want to be featured on the platform. So we're coming up with other ways to really bring more and more perspectives to you. And,
yeah,
okay,
I just want to say I'm sorry Nina Verkoyen couldn't make it. She was having problems with her internet, but we will definitely reschedule it for some upcoming shows. So yeah, I always enjoy these. So, and I enjoy listening to everyone. I actually learned something. Sometimes you think, oh yeah, I've heard, but I've learned something from everyone here, and that's always exciting for me. So
right, exactly. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to be live next month on September 7th. So ptashow.com, take a look at that, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys for hosting. That was wonderful.